strategy. Usually, it is defined as the plan to achieve a specific goal or result. For example, here, fighting Godfrey next to Leyndell, our goal is a nice talisman for our incantations, and the plan is simply to provide a traditional Black Flame massage to achieve it. It doesn't seem to be enjoying it though. But let me share right away the big picture for today. As we just defeated Radan before, our goal in this segment is to successfully go through Leyndell and the Mountaintop of the Giants, therefore getting closer to completing Elden Ring. Of course, the tricky part is still our challenge limitations: Incantation-Only, no summons, no weapons. As for the strategy to achieve this goal, that's when DPS comes into play. Now, especially for the big tests like Morgott and the Fire Giant, they have too much HP and not enough weaknesses that can be fully exploited by pure incantation. That's why today, let me show you why, when things got dire, the strategy nearly always came down to one thing: more damage. Okay, and cheese also sometimes, and a few epic fails, that's true. And now let's focus back on what's in front of us as we cross the first Leyndell's gate. Don't be fooled by the 2-3 Sentinels, it's easy to get overconfident, but if you get too close and they hit you, you can get stunned into oblivion super fast, so I am being very careful kiting and keeping my distance. You might still think we are having it easy, because it looks smooth, but it's mainly because we have a huge area to hit and run, but to be honest, for me it already started to feel like my damage is falling off a bit compared to before. That's why at this moment, with the Fallingstar Beast boss fight available right next door, I decided to go for it, as the reward is basically a ton of advanced upgrade materials, which will help us level up our seal easily. In this encounter, we just have to be careful about the beast charges and later on just running away from the gravity attacks, but usually it's quite easy to read, so it's a pretty straightforward fight, I would say. But that's the part where I might have overdone it a little bit, because why stop at one? I already had the Sight of Grace of Celia Tunnel, so I went to fight the Fallingstar Beast there too. It is basically the same fight, but in a much tighter space. And after this second encounter and collecting even more materials, as I was planning to pass by Volcano Manor anyway, I used that opportunity to fight our third and last Fallingstar Beast there as well. Really, it's the last one, I promise, don't worry. This time the arena is much bigger again, so it is quite easy, apart from the risk of falling from the cliff when kiting the beast, which totally didn't happen just before, no comment. In any case, with all these fights done, I could upgrade my seal to a very high level, which, as you will see, soon leads to some really unexpected interactions, especially against Morgott and the Fire Giant, but no spoiler for now, you will see by yourself when we fight them later anyway. But first, now that we boosted our general damage setup, we go back on track with the storyline and towards entering Leyndell. As we enter the capital outskirts, we are welcomed by a gargoyle on the way, but compared to later in the game, that one is relatively easy, so just a few frenzied bursts later, we are through. Then we head for what I thought would be a tough fight against the Draconic Sentinel guarding Leyndell city entrance, but that was until I remembered what we discovered with Commander O'Neill in Kindred before. So instead of an extremely boring fight with way too much action, what about a passionating fight where nothing moves, nothing happens, and we just let the Draconic Sentinel enjoy a unique sensory experience brought to him by Poison Mist. With the Sentinel defeated, we can now head to the next area, which I don't know for you, but for me is one of the most iconic, where we get to have a nice view of Leyndell from the ramparts while fighting this music-crazed snowman. The giant version of these creatures can actually drop the Envoy's Longhorn, which is a very fun bubble build to play with Faith, but we can't use this weapon in this run, so no point to farm it here. After clearing up the ramparts, we slowly moved on towards the lower level avenue, where we are having a few friendly fights to show off our DPS before heading for more serious bosses. We start with the Earth Tree avatar there, and really with game progression they feel easier and easier. Like in this fight, if I manage my FP better, I probably could have just 3-shot it. Instead it takes 4 shots, which you will admit is still not that bad. We follow up by fighting the ulcerated tree spirit nearby. That fight somehow ends up being even easier, but let's be honest, it shouldn't be. It's mostly because I can cancel its mobility advantage by hitting from a nice vantage point. Its attacks are so chaotic though that you can see I am not actually that confident, as when he starts his animation, I'm kind of like, wait, should I actually move back or it's okay? But seems I was right, or simply just too reckless, because even without moving, he just really can't reach us at all. Then now, since we are mostly done with everything we wanted to do in Leyndell, I head for the Godfrey's fight. This is my second try, cause during the first try I was slightly too confident, to be honest, and I was just trying to finish the fight nearly from the entrance. But this time I'm intending to move a bit more. I still get too greedy, okay, I would admit, cause that second attack gets me hit once more. But since he can't really one-shot me, we are actually fine. I get my distance this time, cause there is no point to just try to gain few seconds by hitting back again right away. And since he moves very slowly across the area, you can see it's just super easy to build some distance. So from there I'm still getting few hits, and since the damage is completely insane, I don't need to grid out another hit. This time I'm not making the same mistake. I just get the distance again and I'm ready again to kite. From this point, this is actually just 2 frenzied bursts left, which means now 1. But at that time I'm not sure, so you can see I'm even shooting an extra time, but yeah, it's already done. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that it went so easily in the end, but I'm like, okay, great, let's try and do the same for Morgott. But since I'm a bit anxious how to fight Morgott, I first try a very standard approach that you will see, but in the end that's not what works the best, so let's talk to him first and then I will show you what I mean.
Pillagers, emboldened by the flame of ambition. Have it writ upon thy meager grave. Felled thy king Morgott, last of all kings.
So here we go. First try, as I was saying, like we tried very legit, I would say, in the playstyle. So I'm just kiting with Frenzied Burst and trying to keep some distance, avoiding his main attacks. This is doing so much damage that damage once again is not the issue, it's more avoiding the attacks so I don't die before him. And here that's the sad part, is I get touched right before I can shoot, so it finishes very badly and very fast. For the second try I will skip the main part of it, but the gist of it is I was trying to inflict rot. But this is how it ends, so yeah, not so great as well. But then that's when it came to me, like, we just talked about it for Godfrey, then why not try this for Morgott? Try what? Try just standing still from the entrance and see where it leads us. So I try to get all the boosts I can on me, so of course my DPS can be the highest. And I'm thinking, let's see at least if we can reach phase 2 this way, and then we will improvise from there. So as soon as I enter I shoot, but I might have been too impatient because as you can see it's too far. But from the second one it hits, and yeah, the damage is good, that's absolutely undebatable. So I hit 2 times, I just regenerate the FP and I go and hit again. That's where you can see he starts to approach faster, but thankfully it's just the right timing to shift him to phase 2. So now he's on a new animation, taking less damage but not moving, that's what we care about. And then he starts another static attack, which is perfect for us. So we can just keep on hitting, and we end up like this. So summary of the fight, with high DPS and range, don't even try to play it smart, just enter the arena, hit, hit, hit and hit again, and win. Moving? Overrated. So now that we defeated Morgott, the mountain pass to the fire giant is open. Right before, I quickly progress Millicent's quest enough that we can bypass Thread, and you will see this incantation will turn out very useful for the upcoming bosses. So step 1 of 2 to reach the fire giant, going through a lot of bridges, snow areas, and then we have our first real enemy before the lift, which is the Black Blade Kindred Gargoyle. And this fight specifically involves two main things. One is using Pest Thread because, as you can see, since the gargoyle model is quite big, it can hit many times, so it's doing very good damage. And the auto tracking is also amazing since the gargoyle is a very fast moving enemy. The second part is more about my own movement rather than doing damage, because the gargoyle is doing a lot of damage and can just rush up on you. As well, conversely, if you are too far, the gargoyle might use the range attack, which does a lot of damage and could knock me out of torrent. So I'm trying to keep just the right distance, as you can see, to avoid the attacks, but also being just close enough that I can hit, because the Pest Thread range is decent, but obviously not as long as Frenzied Burst. And here we are closing up the fight. Here I'm getting more distance, and this is exactly what I told you. You see, I get hit, so it's quite dangerous now. I could be defeated anytime if he hits me again, but just as it's coming, because I have so close range, Pest Thread gets all the hit through, and that helps to finish the fight immediately. So now we can use the medallion and take the lift up to the mountaintop of the giants. So this is our second step towards the fire giant. Once again, we have a lot of walking, or in this case horse riding, to do. But after crossing many snow areas, including the Zamor ruins and this very long bridge, we eventually approach our last fight right before the fire giant. So this is gonna be a dragon fight against Borealis. The fight itself is not that different from any other dragon fight, the main difference only being that the status effect that he can inflict on you is Frostbite, so that's actually the reason why this is the second try, as the first try I learned by experience that Frostbite is not nice, at least from my perspective, because I'm sure it's super cool from the dragon's perspective. But anyway, we could inflict rot early in the fight, so then it's just a game of patience. I'm using Pest Thread because it's also great against the dragon, since it's also a large enemy. And the main attacks I have to be careful about are the breath attacks, because that's where I can get inflicted Frostbite. Here I get hit by the dive attack, which is not good, but since I don't have any status effect, I don't mind as much, I can just heal back afterwards. So I first prioritize keeping my distance, and once I'm safe, I heal, I get closer again. And by looking at just the dragon's life, you can see that it's slowly going down, and we are just 1 or 2 Pest Thread away from finishing the fight. So I can start to hit again as soon as I'm not in the range of the breath attack. And one last attack, and here we are. Our frozen dragon is down. Bye bye Borealis. And now we can focus on the last step of this journey, which is reaching the fire giant. It takes very little time, as Borealis is really just few minutes away, and right before starting the fight I decide to go and get the Earth Tree Seal in Volcano Manor, since I am trying to go full DPS. So I just do a quick stop at the manor and try to carefully and methodically dispatch the Omen Killer before going down there first. However, I forgot one enemy behind, who I have to admit makes me look a bit like a clown. No comment please, it's painful. But of course that's not what's gonna discourage me, so I come back one more time, and this time really carefully and methodically get the seal. And now we are actually ready to start the fight against the fire giant. This time, if you look, I'm still using the God Slayer seal, which is not perfect, but since it's very upgraded, it's still not bad and it will be a good benchmark. So you can see we engage him, we are lucky because it's not the snow wave attack, which is the most common, so we can approach a bit faster. I'm focusing immediately on its weakness, which is the left leg first, so it's going very fast in terms of damage and mini-stunning him, but I still cannot make enough damage to phase him directly into phase 2, so I'm healing a little bit, getting on torrent to close the gap, because when he rolls he goes quite far very fast. I'm approaching his leg again, but here I'm doing a critical mistake as I get slightly too close to one of its floating fireballs, which stuns me and I cannot escape this big shield hit in time. After a good warm-up done though, and with the proper Earth Tree Seal equipped, I now feel more than ready to take on the fire giant. So of course we start by boosting ourselves with the flask of Rondra's physics. We also use Golden Vow because it's still not super heavy mana, and I can just regenerate it and be ready for the fight. We come to him and engage, and once again you will see we are very lucky because he doesn't do the snow wave attack, instead the shield hit, so we can approach and even stay on torrent, so we gain a bit of time. We do so much damage now that we have the very upgraded Earth 3 seal, and you can see even before he can roll for the first time he's already down nearly 1/3 of its HP. So really now the HP fight and the DPS fight is going really in our favor. We approach carefully to not trigger one of the fireballs once again, and we still just focus on its weakness while regenerating FP when we can. So in this case I'm approaching again, expecting to be able to face him very quickly, and as you can see that's the case here. And phase 2 starts. So here we want to inflict rot as soon as possible. Another strategy would have been spamming pest thread, but come on, it's less fun. So I do a first rotten breath, then I regenerate and go for a second one. The good thing here is it actually stuns him. For good measure I go for a third one, but let's be honest, that's more for damage because actually he already is inflicted with rot, so I then heal, and I don't want to take too many risks. Yeah, I still have the shield from the potion, but I need to be careful around all the fireballs. So the most common strategy for that is usually simply rotating while looking at the fire giant. That way it's very hard for the fireball to actually reach you. I greed a bit too much while trying to hit his hand, and that's when I realize now I don't have the shield anymore, so let's play it a bit more careful. So I just run around, try to hit him again, but he rolls away, so I still want to finish him with some real hits and not just the rot, so I'm coming back with Pest Thread and ready for a last try, and if you can see, the projectiles hit just in time, and we can proudly say Fire Giant is down. That also means Ferrum Azula is now calling us to meet Maliketh and then Leyndell, Ashen Capital, to see if we can fully complete Elden Ring. I hope to see you on that next and final step in our challenge journey, and otherwise the usual, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more of such content, like, subscribe, and most importantly, stay awesome.